whose, which problem are you solving? If you haven't answered this, you have to answer this first. Most people give their introduction by saying, my company provides so-and-so service. Very few people will answer, whose which problem are you solving? That is not a very simple question to answer. Try answering it. Maybe during the course of our discussions, we try to answer, whose which problem are you solving? When you answer who, you get the customer. And when you answer which, you get the problem. This together gives you the next thing, which is the opportunity side. So is there a big problem with too many customers? What is the opportunity side? That's another thing I think you have to identify before you go into all these things. Many businesses are started because you have a passion for it or an interest for it, but there are very few takers for it. Or the prospective customer never has money. So you will never be able to scale up. First, I think before you start any idea, you have to identify these two things. After that comes starting the company and making more strategies, and then you have your enterprises. And if you haven't answered this, no matter what kind of strategy you make for your sales and distribution, it probably will not work. So, I'll use the slide a little bit now. So that can be. We'll start with something before the sales. What do customers think about? And I'm asking this question because we have to ask it to ourselves. We have to think like the customer. If you want to catch the fish, you have to think like the fish. Do we really spend that much time in our businesses doing this kind of thinking? Jumping to a sales strategy is one thing. But before, after you talk about your opportunity size, talk about think like the customer. We are almost no different from our customer, and therefore this is another fundamental thing which I don't know they teach in MBAs or not, but this is a very fundamental thing. If you want to catch a fish, you have to think like a fish. So again, another very known fact, nobody wants to buy what you sell, but they want to achieve the business results by utilizing whatever you want to sell to them to pursue their own goals and objectives. I think it's as crystal clear. I'm just bringing out something which may be at the back of your mind. It's not in the forethought of your...
I think that what business should be deleted. Because it may be going to individuals. Not for something.
Yeah, maybe. Alright, yeah. So it probably addresses a business to business model. Maybe it's not a business, it's a personal, individual person. Whatever results he wants. So when we engage with customers, we have to think less as salespeople and more as doctors. What it means that we have to get into their history. We have to get into analyzing. I'm sure some of us do that, most of us do that. When you go to a new customer before the meeting, usually you visit the website. You check out that company, where it is, what is its main business, etc. So you try and develop an opinion about the company. That's the right step. But very few people do more than that. So if your customers are known to you very well, you have to actually profile them and maintain the history of those customers, the buying patterns, the buying potential, the competitors, etc., so that when you go, you are absolutely aware of who you are going to meet. Like today, I'm actually not very familiar who I'm going to meet, right? I haven't got the ability right now to profile each of you. But if I do that, if I treat you as my customers, if I was able to get individual briefs from some of you, then I would be able to provide much more value. So it's about the same thing applies when you're going to sell your product or your service to your customer. Be his doctor, get into all his history, profile them, profile the consumption, profile their budgets, those things. So these are very, very primary things, and before one gets into strategy, one must always know these things. Again, no trainer, customer has a need, and your solution, I assume, it takes him to his desired state. So we assume that you have figured out the desired state he wants to be in. You figured out the need, and you figured out the solution. Your first part of today's session was on productizing your solution or your service, etc. And I'm assuming that you have figured this out. If you haven't figured this out, you need to spend time on this. This is sales strategy before any strategy or process is studied.
Some real life example to explain better.
We go into it. Every purchase has a value and a risk to that value. Those number of risks and values can be many, countless. I've just put some 6 or 8 values here. Economic value and risk. So your product and service provides economic value and risk to the customer. Economic value may be increased revenues, reduced costs, better utilized assets. Time value and risk. Your service may shorten his time to market, maximize his uptime of maybe his production process, reduce his cycle time, or free him up for some other thing. So some of you are offering outsourced services. Maybe that think of what value you are delivering and what is the risk your product or service carries when your customer consumes that. Quality risk and value, reduce product defects, longer product life, better service to customers. Guidance, value and risk. Maybe doing business with you gives him access to expert advice, or reduces his chances of making some mistakes, or the source of experience because you are a bunch of consultants, for example, and he wants those consultants in that industry. Emotional value and risk, don't discount this. Feeling of doing the right thing, or need for recognition, or feeling of security. Somewhere all companies deliver, to sell product or service, deliver emotional value. Simplicity value. Make the easy choice, avoiding potential risks. Choose path of least resistance. Relational value. Repay a loyalty or a commitment. You have a barter, you are providing you service, he is providing you service. Strengthening a relationship, avoiding a potential conflict. This is very valid when you do distribution-based or channel-based businesses. I'm going to reuse this slide later, so I'm just trying to point out a direction that each of you don't deliver just product and service, but you actually deliver value and you carry risk. So value and risk are proportionate. What are the major sources of value for your business? 3. People, solution, and company. What value do people deliver? Honesty, likability, competence, responsiveness, trustworthiness, dependability, client focus, confidence, integrity, empathy, creativity. Like, I am not going to explain all of them, pretty obvious, right? Finally, most important, that your people deliver the feeling to your customer that they care. Company, I think all of us worry about this. What is the reputation my company carries? What is its financial stability? At least to the outside world. Longevity, size, location or multi-location, brand recognition, breadth of offerings, what is its focus, what is its company philosophy, what is its referenceability. Can you get references, good references from other customers or general marketplace? That's the other source of value that you get. And then your product or the solution. So what quality, reputation, functional fit, completeness, added services, technical advantage, total cost of ownership, price. These are some. There are more things. I am trying to tell you to think about what value you are delivering after you have figured these basic things. What are your sources of those values? And then map those sources to the value. Again, this is just a sample. So, if the company is delivering longevity, then I don't know which one I can make out, but if the company is delivering longevity, maybe you will maximize. If the company is delivering brand recognition, maybe you will avoid potential risks. Cost of ownership, TCO is total cost of ownership, delivers reduced cost, technical advantage, reduces product defects, take care, reduces feeling of delivers feeling of security, domain expertise, delivers guidance, value, access to expert advice. I just picked points from the previous two slides and tried to map and tell you how your values from your different sources deliver different value to the customer. And you have to make this your own. There's no standard. There's nothing like, everybody's value is the same. These are different for different businesses. But usually in businesses, we never go to this depth. We just run our businesses. We never go and try to plan in this detail. And therefore, we have to answer if we really understand our customer. Your strategy comes after that. Do you think enough about your customer? I think copying may take longer time, take a snapshot is easier. So copy, take a picture. Yeah, slides are with Shweta. You can get this slide. There's nothing really.
Decrease in perceived risk.
Any decrease in perceived risk is in effect an increase in perceived value. That's why this slide, because this is a perception. Many of the risks and the values are here. Many are perceived.
One example of this.
All practical examples will come later because I talk exactly about my company. We'll go into this. So I'm just going to complete this so that when I get into any of the businesses, we'll talk of this. What value were delivered? Then what is the perceived value? We'll talk about this.
go back to that previous one. Before.
You have any issue? Yeah, you are. I'd be happy if people make their own value charts like this later. Or if you want to make it now, make it. We will talk about it in reality. Anybody can do an exercise now or later, making your own value chart like this. You can also go to the next exercise if anyone wants to do a mock on what your people are delivering, what is your company definition, what is the solution. You can do that and then you can map this. This is a very detailed exercise, so probably you will take time in your business. But this is essential in evolving a sales and distribution strategy. The rest of it is probably available in all kind of schools and management books. But mapping your value and understanding what you are delivering is very important. And we always forget these kind of things. We always forget that I am providing an emotional value, for example, or I am providing, political value to the customer by being the company I am, for example. Yeah.
The perception will be from my point of view about my product and service, isn't it?
The perception.
I perceive that I am giving emotional value to you as a customer, but you may not perceive that.
The whole thing is, all the slides are not from your point of view, but from customer's point of view. Think like your customer. These are customers' perceived values, not yours.
So how do I do that? How do I perceive what my customer means?
By these. These are your sources. You are this. Customer is this. He is perceiving value from your product or service which has functional, emotional, political, relational, different, and it could be more. It's not just A. This is not scientific. This is just something which is one, set of values. It could be more. So this is perceived. You are mapping. This is you. This is mapping. So this is your value, product, service, your company, how customer perceives. So customer is buying. What I'm trying to tell you is, customer is always buying more than what you think you are giving.
Can I share on this some example? One example can I share?
On this?
Yes.
Alright.
Okay. So now can I share? I'll tell
You want to share?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When the Whirlpool company came in India, the Whirlpool company, when they came in a washing machine, they came as a washing machine as a product. They wanted to wash the clothes. They found in Punjab the sales were shooting up like anything. So they went and surveyed. They found Sardar is there. They put there is a lassi making machine. So there is a lassi making is big. And they were surprised that we actually pursue a product as a washing machine, but it was a churning action and it would make in bulk. So there the people are using that in a lassi making shop. So this is how the people pursue. Now it's very difficult. This is a real life example of Whirlpool business.
And but just because of that perception in a particular geography, you don't project yourself like that. Like Toyota, they had this policy, they stopped because it was being perceived as some taxi or something. They just stopped the thing. So it's not just
They stopped because that's not the value they want to give.
That was the percentage company because that was the product design.
Right.
Now, what I want to understand, even if I put myself in the shoes of the customer, but they also must have done the same. For my product service, how will I assess what product, what value you assign to it, so that you buy that product? This is what my question. Just to get a clarity.
That's what I'm trying to say. That you have to answer it. I don't know your product and service, so I don't know your answer. But we have to answer it. Maybe we'll discuss it in more detail. That So let's say, one of my companies makes, all kinds of video surveillance products, hardware and software. And the way we deliver it, if it's just a camera, it probably has very limited value. But if I deliver it as a service, for example, where you never need to buy a camera, but you subscribe to a service. In that case, the value delivered changes. So what has happened is, from me making a camera, putting it in a box, selling it maybe through a distributor to the end customer, I'm now somehow reaching out to the end customer where he can go and pick up a camera, plug and play, hook up to the cloud and get a service. Both are different values, and depending on what value I want to deliver, I will need to change my distribution and sales strategy. Product remains the same.
So product event to service.
But what I'm doing is still the same. This is what I want to bring out, that it doesn't matter what product and service you have today. You also need to go deeper and think what value you want to deliver to him. And then your business model and your sales and distribution strategy changes accordingly. And I've changed mine multiple times, so I know what I'm talking. It doesn't mean today you'll figure out a strategy and it remains valid for life. It changes every couple of years at least. You don't want to change it every quarter, because that will make your company very unstable and also it will confuse the market and the channel. But every couple of years you want to relook whether your model, your strategy is relevant or not. So that was the first part of the talk. Consider it the sales part, where I wanted to bring out that before you get into what strategy you will form, you need to understand these things. If you haven't answered basic questions, please don't feel obliged to go into the next stage. You must answer those things. Very basic and very childish questions, but many of us, I know, we don't spend enough time. Whose which problem are we solving? Remember this sentence. I tell myself this all the time. Whose which problem am I solving? And if I don't want to solve somebody's problem, no matter that guy says, I need your product, I should not waste my time there, because I never started the product or the service for him. Or I need to redefine whose which problem I'm solving. If I'm in the business of making good lassis, for example, probably many more things are involved. That's not the value I want to deliver to the washing machine I make. This kind of things, you will need to answer it yourself. I'm going to the next part of it now, which is your marketing mix. All of us know this, 4 P's or 5 P's of marketing. But these are the 4 basics, right? So, product, price, and promotion and place. This, I think, some of us learned in management courses, but it has changed. Product has become consumer, price has become cost, promotion is now communication, and distribution is now convenience. So 4 P's have become 4 C's today. What I learned 15 years back has changed from 4 P's to 4 P's. And I did my MBA and I learned the 4 P's. But now it has become this. It's not about you distributing, it's about how conveniently your customer gets your product or service. It's not about the promotion, but it's about, are you really communicating to your customer? Does he know how, what you provide? What is your differentiation from your customer? Are you present where your customer is? And a lot of people tell me, that we have an excellent website, or we advertise in magazines, etc., etc. But is your customer there? You have to answer that. Earlier it was, a price at which you would decide a price at which you want to sell. Today it is pretty much the cost, not of manufacturing, but the cost or the total cost of ownership of the customer. Because what is the total cost, and have you worked out, that's another very important thing to work out, TCO. Total cost of ownership of your customer, you haven't worked out during the lifetime of your product or service. Then again, you haven't really thought about.
Is there any difference between total cost of ownership of customer and cost of acquisition?
Cost of acquisition is the total cost of the cost of acquisition is I think a very initial cost. But total cost of ownership is about you have a product, let's say it lasts for 10 years, and you have to figure out what is the total cost of owning this customer through the life cycle of the product, not just acquisition of the product. That's his cost. So if you give him a product, it lasts for 10 years, but every 6 months it will collapse. You have to redo something. Then he has a much higher cost of ownership. Same to the service. You provide him an online service, let's say. Or I think during lunchtime someone said, has outsourced financing. Outsourced finance or accounting is an established business model for small companies. What happens if that accountant keeps changing? That's the biggest risk. So the cost of ownership of your company customer, the company where you're providing, is much higher because the people keep changing. So you have to figure this out. What is this cost of ownership? And earlier, the theory was focus on product. Now the theory is focus on consumer. Okay, again, at the risk of going a little bit bookish, I wanted to bring out the difference, what has changed from yesterday to today. This again is a pyramid. Everybody knows pyramid in India. I am assuming, and everybody understands that bottom of the pyramid is the biggest opportunity. In the Indian context, this is very valuable. But
excuse me, the cost of ownership that you were discussing, how does that really calculate it? The cost of ownership that you were discussing, how does one really calculate it? I mean, if my product is to go for 10 years, like you just said, how would I calculate it? Is there any formula given?
no, there is no ready formula. So, I think you have to go into can I remove this? Let's start writing. You will tell me. There's no ready formula to calculate your total cost, but the basic principle is to capture all costs associated through the use of the product. So it's not just acquiring the customer, but depending on, do you want to tell us what your product is?
We are in the business of selling lights to dentists for tooth whitening.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
We are in the business of selling tooth whitening lights to dentists.
Tooth whitening
Lights
to
to
the
dentists.
dentist.
So on. It's not working.
I call it tooth whiteners.
Yeah.
No, customer is doctors. No, customer is normal people, but your channel is a
Your
doctor.
ultimate customer is the patient, but your immediate customer is the dentist.
Why do you go to doctors? Why do you
Sorry?
go to doctors?
This is part of oral hygiene done at the clinic. It's just like going to a dermatologist.
So you have a sales force, they go to doctors, and then doctors buy this and prescribe
Sell
it.
it, yeah, prescribe it to the patient.
Alright. So I do cost plus pricing for simplicity. You have a cost of your product plus your margin will be the sales price, and you will add your taxes, whatever they are applicable. So you will come to your MRP, right? You will work backwards your sales structure, and of course you will say doctor gets this much discount. then that's your trade price, and then that's your end customer price. You
Correct.
work that out.
Correct.
But is that your only cost?
No.
And this cost includes your direct product cost, of course, and your operations cost, I'm assuming. So this cost already has that cost.
Correct.
Beyond that, what is the lifetime of your product? I don't know. I never used to be.
It's about 5 to 10 years. 10 years, that's it.
10 years is what? Can you?
Is how long the life will
But
last.
after you use it, it's useless, right?
It's not a cool point. It's a light, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a light.
Light that a dentist uses when he's whitening or
You mean the light?
and use the
Whitener light.
So it's the lights that they use.
So an end user can't use it himself, right?
Correct.
A dentist has to use it.
Alright. So this light is 10 years, and they have to.
The dentist can use it for a certain number of hours. So we call it 10,000 hours.
Yeah, so light will work on light hours, number of light years, right?
Burning hours.
Or illumination years.
Burning
Running hours.
Burning hours.
Lighting hours. Right? And this is almost 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And it works on a lithium battery.
No, it works on electricity, just like
On
any
electric power. There is no battery with it. It
No.
works on
No.
electricity. 12 volts or so. It comes with a power supply and then 12 volts. So the power supply is part of your product. As you. Is that right?
Yep.
12 voltage. And I think that should be the weakest link in the chain because power supplies get spoiled. No power supply lasts for 10 years, so it's also one of my biggest links. I'm sure it's your end. So this is part of going into total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership figures out from a business point of view what is the total cost of owning this customer and not acquiring him, owning him. And through the life of the product. So if you want that this customer use your product for 10 years, you have to figure out what is your servicing cost for that,
Post sale, over the 10 years.
including pre-sales. Total cost takes pre-sales,
A to Z cost.
sales itself and the acquisition process and the post-sales, whatever it is, whether it's service, whether it's communication. You may just be maintaining communication because you want to let him know new products. And of course, if your product is a zero defect and zero maintenance product, then your cost of ownership is low.
So when you're talking about the cost of ownership, it is from the customer's point of view or from the when you're talking about total cost of ownership, it is from the customer's perspective, right? So if a customer buys a product, what is he going to spend to maintain the product for 10 years? If the effective life of the product is 10.
Yes. So total cost of
So it is the cost of acquiring the product for the customer, cost of maintaining the product for the customer.
This is the total cost of the product for the customer. So he is not going to buy the product only at your $100 or whatever. He is going to spend that much more on the product, and you have to figure that out and then see how you want to participate during the use of that.
Confused. Like you're talking about total cost of ownership. That is for the customer or for the business? Total cost of ownership.
Total cost of ownership of the customer is right from both angles. You have to do this, but right now I think we are talking from the customer.
Okay.
Because we are doing everything from the customer. So total cost of ownership of the customer, how much he has to spend.
Like if I want to buy a shirt, it's 1200, but I spend 200 rupees on fuel. So then we
We
guys
go-
1400.
Right. We go into buy security. Most big businesses when they buy, let's say Bharat Diamond Force wants to quote a CCTV tender and that's about 5 crore tender. So to buy that, they will have a consultant. That consultant will get 1 to 2% of the value of that. That consultant will quote a tender. there will be at least 8 to 10 bidders. Those bids will have to be evaluated. So there is tendering cost, etc. This is the amount of detail that goes into. So when the customer buys, if you are to buy directly from my factory, it will be much cheaper. Now, some system integrator of mine, maybe Siemens or Schneider or Honeywell, is going to do the bidding, participate in this. There is a consultant fee involved. Then okay, usually the consultant will bring supply, install, commission. So you are not only product but also installation service. Then it will be warranty of 5 years. Customer asks warranty of, it's a security product supposed to last long enough. Warranty of 5 years means from the business point of view what? It means that I'll be adding some cost to it, maybe 1% per annum, I don't know. Right? And then there is plus 5 years AMC. If it is comprehensive, it cannot be less than 3.5 to 7.5 anywhere depending on the business perspective. Right? So the total cost that customer is going to pay is much higher.
I just want to go to the previous example of that tooth whitener bulb. Now this becomes, I feel, it's a B2B business, not a business to consumer, because she is billing it to someone who doctor and he is giving the final price. Now for a total cost of ownership, supposing the doctor thinks the life is 10 years, however this technology might become obsolete in 3 years. He might have to take that cost of the bulb, not for 10 years but for 3 years, because after 3 years he might do something different. In that case,
opposite of what you said.
No, 100. In that case, he'll have to bill his patients higher per sitting so that he can recover the cost in 3 years instead of 10 years. So total cost of ownership for him will increase.
Absolutely.
Because this is a cost of obsolescence that is not taken in the water.
Absolutely. So that's what you are in the right direction. So that is what you have to figure out. It's not the price at which you sell. This is what I am trying to tell you. It's the cost of ownership that the customer bears. You have to figure that out. That you have to map with value. Again, where was that value slide? We said TCO to value. And this, for him, reduced cost is the value reduced.
This is what happened with Maruti and Ambassador. Ambassador you buy and you keep on maintaining and putting the expenses. Maruti came into the market and said, okay, no more maintenance, just buy the car, use it. This is what the cost of ownership.
Absolutely. And you deliver a lot of that. I mean, Maruti brings convenience. Yes. Another. To my mind, there was a time when I was driving a Maruti. Maruti was top of the mind thing was that anywhere you drive in the country, you will have a Maruti service. If you drive another car, maybe it's not there. Right? Out of Mumbai, now it's much different. But earlier, I find everything was right there. Okay, so that was marketing mix. Now, Blue Ocean and Red Ocean. Anybody know Blue Ocean?
It is the first car.
No?
It is the first car.
So you did this first. So I did very deep. Okay. So here we go more real now. We go into the market mix. To make a good distribution strategy, you must understand your industry very well. I talk about mine, then we'll take. Again, I'm going to talk about the security industry. The whole industry size, and I'm limiting myself not to the global market, talk only about the Indian market, is about 2,000 crores. Video surveillance only, the cameras, etc. A market called India only. The bottom of the pyramid, is 1100 crores. Means about 50 85%. Maybe it's more than that. Then we have a mid segment.
Sorry, what is this data from?
My industry.
Yes.
I'm talking of my industry because that's all I know. I'm saying that you must be able to map your industry size because you must know what is the industry you are in, without which you can't build this strategy. Who are the competitors? So we'll come to that. But we have these kind of figures, 500 or rather 600 crore, and the mid segment is only 300 crore. That did it add up? Yes. So what I'm trying to make is, this mix keeps changing. 5 years back, this was too small, and this was much bigger. And my brand was focused here. Today, this is becoming fatter, and this is becoming fatter, and this is disappearing. How I mean? This, today, cameras are cheaper and cheaper, available everywhere, even small businesses install it, even retail shops and all that. This, airports, city surveillance. Now we are coming up with called mobile surveillance and all, this public transport, metro, etc. Mobile surveillance, where GPS tracking, video in motion, these kind of things. So my company was selling boxes, delivering this to the channel. Today I am forced to of service, going to much smaller businesses, storage on the cloud, intelligence on the cloud, camera free, don't pay for the camera. And on the other side, making the best in-class solutions for this. My entire segmentation changes now.
What was your big segment? What was your big segment? What was the big segment in your earlier?
You mean the size?
No, big segment.
What's the price?
What kind of big segment?
What kind of customer?
Commercial and industry. Only large commercial and large industries would go for video surveillance, and we would always sell to the automobile factories or heavy engineering factories or chemical factories. They would always come. And commercial, like larger retail houses, etc., they would always buy. But today, small commercial, smaller SMB segment also installs everything, and those also go. And there's another issue. Here it became all analog, which is the cameras probably you guys know. Here it's all IP, which is all network. Because now in India also most big cities are fiber optic enabled, so everything is IP. It's not analog at all. You don't have to wire it, you have to connect it to the nearest network port. So everything changed.
This bottom of the pyramid is changing from small shops to the houses.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of
Residential.
my friend recently bought a system in house.
Yeah.
He is like on mobile.
Absolutely. So home and what we call is the SOHO. Small office, home office.
Then what happened to your CNI? Is still there?
It's
Or
still there,
only
but
the other thing has become bigger?
It's still there, but it's already like large commercial. One of the biggest segments in India was banks. So my company's presence was big time in banks. Because in India banking is huge. There's so many branches, etc. And RBI has some norms. How many days of storage you have to maintain? There are areas like currency chairs, teller machines, etc. where cash is handled, where you have to have it's a rule, it's law. So you have to install that. That was big. Today, it's already deployed. So the sector is big, but it's not a high growth area. That's another thing you have to do. Once you have your industry mix, you need to decide which segment you belong to. where do you want to go? And I'm giving you my example because I'm saying I was in the mid segment and then I pushed some of my strategy up and some of my strategy down because I wanted to eat both. So I used some of my channel to eat down and I created a new solutions group. As a result, today, if there is any city surveillance in India, and of course overseas we've done a lot of cities, then we have solution. We are known as a brand there. Here, I'm still not known because it's a very big segment in India. But it's known to the channel. So that brings me now to the channel strategy. Here, you need a distribution channel strategy. Here, you need a more project-based strategy, solution group. Maybe direct to customer. Who is the biggest customer in this segment? No. Absolutely. No. Because government buys. So this is what you have to figure out. Each one of you must get your pyramid right and must get your segment. Within the segment, it is pretty much a red ocean because this is no brain work. This everyone knows. Maybe if you are in an established industry, then these are published figures. So people know this, right? So your competitor also knows this. And within your segment, there are going to be many players, competitors, your competition with. That is always going to be a red ocean where you will bleed unless you differentiate yourself.
Is there any agency helping us in knowing the pyramid segmentation?
If you have to make your own pyramid, if you're looking at a marketing consultant or something, there are a lot of consultants who provide this kind of research and
For our product or our service?
yeah. I'll give you my own example. In 2005, when I was in this situation where we were here and we realized, so we recruited an agency called Frost & Sullivan. Of course, they may be big, depending on the size of your business or industry. You may choose the consultant, but we recruited them to do a survey. And we did a whole bunch of things because in business you have to do a lot of things which which are not so, which is not for the class. But what we did is we even, sponsored them to come up with awards in this category, and we gave ourselves an award, and we gave it to some other competitors also. So we did all of those kind of things to reposition ourselves. Point is, you have to figure out this. It's important to your sales and distribution strategy.
Do you operate the same name when you go or you create different identities?
So we operate under the same business name, but we created different brands. We created a different brand for business.
Just to associate with what we're saying, can you tell us some of the technologies and products in each category?
What's that?
And to associate with your industry, can you just name a few technologies and products that you have separate for all these things?
IT and
You explain analog and
Analog.
IC. That is a different of in the market.
It's not relevant to us. It's not relevant to you. I can talk about it, but it's not relevant. Why I told you this is because I know this like the back of my palm. So I'll be able to connect with you, explaining you what you need to do with your industry. But just to answer very briefly, analog is CCTV cameras and DVRs that you probably see. And IP cameras are camera and a DVR in one. It has its own, recording. It has its own Ethernet port. It will connect to any internet connection that you have. And it works only with the software. So software becomes a key part. So actually, hardware becomes less important here. Software becomes more important here. And this is only hardware. So that's a technology shift only relevant to my industry. It's not relevant to all industries. I'm just giving you an example that you have to get your segment right today, and you have to figure out what, if you are in technology business, you need to figure out what is your technology shift coming up. You need to prepare for it. And your sales and distribution strategy needs to align to that from today for 5 years from now. I did this in 2005. And then, just very quickly, because you already know this, so then we knew that this is a very red ocean. Because there are too many players there, and we will probably have to reduce our prices and get low margin and all that, which actually happens. So we look for what is called as a blue ocean strategy, blue ocean opportunities, which is some niche area where competitor may not be there. One of the services with one partner that we started was providing live cast from Smashan Bhumis all over India. Because, and giving it to women, because women are not allowed to go to Smashan Bhumi. So we gave them a live coverage of a cremation from the Smashan Bhumi. And it was delivered to a partner in Chandigarh. It was absolutely famous in North. And we created a very good platform for it. Blue Ocean, nobody knew or nobody really figured out this. But of course, a blue ocean is not as big as your red ocean. But if you have some blue ocean strategies in place, they will help your business always to differentiate yourself from your customer.
Yeah, no, blue ocean strategy be perceived as a red ocean. For example, now let's say you're selling your top end stuff to the government, and the government, although yes, the bottom pyramid has maybe 500 players, the top segment has maybe 10 players. Then, for argument's sake. Now, what the government will probably do is they're going to invite bids from all 10 of them, and they're going to make them compete against each other. You're providing a high-end solution, so they're going to make them compete against each other. So essentially, you're providing an expensive product, not a cheap product for like mid-sized homes or small. But even in that range, you end up cutting each other on price to win the contract. So doesn't a blue ocean also become a red ocean then?
All blue oceans eventually become red. If they because blue ocean by definition is something you figured out before others figured out.
It's very short.
Once you go out there,
So it's short living.
every blue ocean is short lived. You have to find new ones.
Continue.
You have to find new ones. That's business, right? That's business. Tell me, I mean, you will not function in isolation. Will you ever function in isolation in the marketplace? No competitor. Then there is no customer also.
Right, because now you've got a Nano or whatever Maruti Alto, which is probably a red ocean because they're competing on price, right, and value. But if you go, let's say, to a Mercedes-Benz, then you've got Mercedes-Benz, Audi A4, BMW, so they are in the same category, and they're sort of competing against each other to,
So competition is a reality of life. I mean, we compete for everything.
So in short, blue ocean is only an optional.
No. It's a short lived.
it's just short living.
It's an opportunity you figured out before your competitor did. It's not an obvious opportunity. You figured it out before your competitor did.
You make some cash before your competitors have,
And you must constantly innovate.
I think blue ocean strategy is something like, everybody can think something different. But once you get in the habit of thinking that way, you will surely bound to create something one step ahead. I have a
There's actually a book on blue ocean strategy which talks many more things.
very simple
It's not just innovation, many more things.
Yeah. So I have a company in Malaysia. I have a Chinese partner. And they were basically into advertising and graphic designers and visualizers. They were not into business as such. They were artists, creators. They were always great. And I created a kind of a standard in India, and everybody copied those books. So I had to go and compare. They say, one day they just stop comparing. How much are they going to go and copy us? We have tons and tons of things ready. Keep on, giving new designs. So those people who have those ideas, they never stop thinking that. So we should kind of develop that kind of notion, then only you can come out of correct.
So that was the idea. Yeah, very good. So you got the message, right? So what I'm trying to say is you must identify your pyramid correctly, position your product or service correctly in the right segment you want to be in, size up that very correctly, make your strategy for that red ocean, and continuously keep searching blue oceans in your business. That is strategy. The rest of it is process. Process is actually easy.
This is difficult.
Whatever you want to This is easy or process is easy?
Morning it was all about process driven companies.
Once you reach a size, it's process driven.
For CEO, process is easy. For CEO,
So before noon, the sun is on east. After somebody has been the sun is the west. It changes after the lunch.
So I think neither is less important. If you don't do this, you can't do process. And if you do this but don't do the process, you can't scale up. That's the truth. You may figure out and do a lot of mental maths, but you don't set processes. Then again, you can't grow. You'll have a very satisfying small business. A lot of us do have that, but it can't grow. I always tell, friends, even my CEO, that spend your 50% time in planning. And that's why I'm spending it there. Because planning is 50% and execution is 50%. If you did not plan, your execution has no chance of success. If you plan, your execution has 50% chance of success. And believe me, all businesses go wrong only in execution. Because we make plans, good or bad. I'm just helping you to understand how to make a good plan. Then the process that you set is the operations. If your plan is wrong, no matter what operations, it cannot succeed. Simple. So with a good plan, if you fail, then it's operational failure. But these are the two things why businesses don't, grow. Get the right distribution model. I'm asking just some basic questions. Make an effort to get, at a basic level, sales happens when you make an effort to get your customer's attention. You help that customer to see the value of the product or service. You make the customer feel comfortable that the seller can be trusted. You make it easy for the customer to pay. You ensure that the customer has a way to receive the goods and services. Why I wrote this is because distribution strategy. If anybody in technology, products, hardware, products, non-technology products, product companies, okay. And then you have some kind of distribution strategy in place, some channel, okay, then it is relevant to you. So, a distribution channel can be very different, right? And anybody in online businesses who only online selling like e-commerce or something. Also, he has a completely web-based. It's only online optimization. You do only online. We probably try to take both. Okay. So distribution channels for different type of products. For retail products, for packaged goods, for business to business, for service companies, different types of. I just wrote whatever I could see. And if you are a retail, each one of them, by the way, can use internet. So now it's a fact that any kind of business you have, it can use internet. But if you are a retail company, chances are good that you are using department stores, chain stores, or direct mail, now you are at e-commerce. If you are selling packaged goods, chances are good you are going to convenience stores or you are independent reps selling what are you doing? If you are selling business to business like my company, chances are good that my channel structure is this and mine is this. Direct sales, wholesalers, distributors, internal. And if you are providing a service, chances are that you have, depending on what service, you have company-owned offices, franchises, dealerships, from TV infomercials, or circulation. Depending on what I have observed is that if you have figured out the industry well, that industry will have some established channel. Again, I will take example of mine. When we decided to be here in the pyramid, we had to go to the channel. So, the country, again I am talking only India. India has 6,500 installers who are businesses from 1 crore to 15 crore. Installers system integrators or install small SIs or installers. We have about 350 to 450 mid-size SIs, businesses from 15 crore to 50 crore. About 25 from 50 crore to 500 crore SIs. Okay, and then we are the OEM. We want to reach here. What we did is appoint distributors. So we appointed a Honeywell as one distributor. They have a ADI format. We appointed Ready, that I don't know if you have heard of. Yeah, Honeywell Ready. We appointed Neotech. They are my distributor. There was one thing done. I'm going to move Ready and Neotech to the security channels. What we found is that about, I'm talking this segment. What we found is about 300 OEMs are chasing 6,500 installers across India. Very ready with a meaningful product, and mine also is a meaningful product in that sense. So the opportunity size is big, but this is what happened. To reach out to them, we appointed Honeywell, that's one more company with run 2 distributors, and then they are supplying here. They are supplying mostly here. These 2 guys sometimes can buy, have direct accounts with us because they have credit terms with us. So there are a lot of guys like TiE, Siemens, Schneider, etc. who buy our products every month. There are, but we evolved a different strategy. We identified in 2005 when we were analyzing, we identified that the IT channel has IT hardware SI 12,500 who, because of the shift from analog to IP, are now getting into security. So we went to Reddington and we knew that this is a new channel and it will take at least 3 years before the critical mass is established. So we already spent more than that. Now more and more IT channels sell. Again, the point I am making is, if this is 1100 crores, then we figure out how to be innovative and different from the 300 guys when we are fighting the red ocean. You need to find those kind of things in your business. Who else can sell my product or service? Not just think the way your competitor is thinking, but think differently.
You created blue ocean in the red ocean.
Sorry?
You created blue ocean in the red ocean by doing this.
It's not exactly a blue ocean.
You created.
Blue ocean. It's not a blue ocean. Blue ocean is a different thing. But you can think about it for now, for your understanding. You can say that, okay, within this we innovate.
Same thing we can do. Maybe we cannot be able to go to top of the pyramid. The audience sitting there. But we can always think of either finding a new geography working with blue ocean, a niche market, or a class of market where everyone is running. If you also run, it's a red ocean. You change the path, go to the next door where there is nobody. Like you said, so that will be your blue ocean.
For the top, now I talk about the top. Because government and some large groups, we have some direct partners here. What we came up with is two policies. One is the government, and other is we created key accounts. Key accounts are again blue ocean opportunities, while government is obvious opportunity for everybody. So, not anybody will know that my company supplies to Reliance all formats. You go to Reliance Fresh, you go to Reliance Digital Media, you go to Reliance Retail, any Reliance format, about 3,000, 4,500 stores across India. All the cameras will be. Every month they consume more than 20,000 cameras. Every month. So this is the kind of key account we look for. Another, not many will know, Eureka folks, besides the water purifier, sells CCTV called Eurovision. And we supply them. So we created some different business model. Eureka folks is a direct to customer model. We bypass the whole channel. Why I'm telling you some of our secrets is because I'm trying to let you know that there are opportunities to innovate in your sales and distribution, no matter what your industry. That's why planning is important, because the process will take care of this. Planning is the key. Not many people can shake this up. What about government? Government, any blue pond, river, ocean? Okay, secret. Must remain only this one. Okay? Yeah, what we did is we took a lead for government. I don't know if some of you may have done work in government. Government has something called a rate contract. Do you know that? Yeah. There is so far no rate contract in CCTV, but it's coming up in a couple of months. Right? So we took the lead in getting this into a rate contract, and there are some 6 brands in the country who are going to get the rate contract. We are one of them. So again, a strategy for government. How will government grow, and how will you get into different government departments and municipalities and police departments and public transport, the MSRTC, the city buses. Everybody is consuming. Everybody is consuming. So we have to form strategies. Point is, there has to be a strategy in place for that. So this is how you create multiple strategies, some of which will work and some of which will not work but not totally fail. Some will give you success. For example, the strategy here allows me to be in the top 8 brands in the country. The strategy here allows me to be one of the first 3 to 5 brands who do IT. The strategy here allows me to be only one amongst 5 or 6 brands in the country who will do And the government segment, if it opens up, is estimated to double up the market size in 2 years' time. So it has to be a high focus area. And key accounts have to be protected no matter what. Even if Reliance changes, all guys, run. So it's always like that, right? So point is that one has to have such robustness in the business model, in your sales planning. If that is not there, no matter what kind of, I'll make a challan and then get payment and then do this and make a credit policy and all that, will be hogwash. This is important. So get your model right. Based on your business, identify your channels. And I gave you my example because I understand that very well and I know there's a lot of scope for innovation. And in this, I haven't yet mentioned what I'm going to do, which is launch cloud services, where cameras won't need channels. So you have to continuously think those things. Maybe this slide is not so relevant, but do a SWOT of your company if you haven't done it. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And the strengths could be like you have a good brand equity, you have very good service support, you have ready material for the founder, you have very strong customer referrals. The opportunities may be, again, this slide is relevant to what I am talking. Huge untapped market, new distribution channel, change in government policy. So these are new opportunities. The threats are that there are a lot of local players in the market. Low price products are a threat. Technological advancement by competitors is a threat. And the weaknesses we have is that we may lack the reach to the dealer level. There is a dealer level here. Some of them are dealers and we don't directly deal with them. So that's my weakness. Many of my competitors go there direct. Product availability at the point of consumption may not be there because my products are available with the distributors but may not be available there because the customer is here. So do a SWOT in that sense from your market and product mix point of view to a SWOT of your own business. Readily available.
When you talk about OTC, just getting into my proteinness, is it contradicting?
It's not contradicting because it's at different places. The product is available here, but its availability to the end customer may not be there because the distributor is not going to the end customer direct. So as I said again, this is very relevant only to me. It may not be to your business.
A lot of points are very much positive.
Yeah, we are all mirrors of each other, isn't it? So get your, this is roughly a distribution channel which I have. My company has regional distributor, national distributor, system integrator, reseller and installer. And this is what I want to become. I want to leverage the internet, store in the cloud, provide intelligent web services and move to the subscription model. I gave away some of my secrets. But in the hope that I deliver the message that spend your time here.
What do you mean by subscription model?
Sorry?
Software as a service.
There are emerging services.
Software as a service.
Startups. Startup companies have to come up with some.
Pay per use.
And maybe we'll acquire some. Or as part of the strategy, maybe there's acquisition. We don't know that. This is sales and distributions planning, and I don't want to talk of the process as in, make this kind of process and have, of course you must have, if you are supplying to the channel, you need a credit policy. You should know how you manage your payments, etc. You should figure out how your customer will have the product, where he has to consume it, how you are going to reach the product, what is the process you will follow in terms of challan, etc. If somebody really needs that to understand, please come and you have with some of my operations guy. They will give you all the set of documents and what they follow, and you can get benefit from some of that. But that's easy to implement. Okay, so
Relatively easier.
much easier. Once you figure this out, that will take care of yourself. You are the entrepreneurs, right? That managers can do. You have to figure this out. Not that. For that, you hire people. We are going to talk about people there. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so that's my presentation. Now we can move to any questions. I hope it was not totally irrelevant.
Eye-opening. Eye-opening.
She can share the people.
Any questions?
Do we have time or
We could take a quick 5 minutes break.
okay? Alright. So we follow pretty much the same way we did last time. I have some points which I put up 10 minutes before starting from my office here. So they are not very structured. They are definitely not complete HR, but we'll address some key issues in identifying human resource needs, and I'll share some of the experiences what I have within our organization. Motivation, anything else?
Office politics.
Great.
Office politics. Politics.
Quality,
Politics. Politics.
politics. So office politics.
Everything about employees.
Cultural.
Hiring.
Hiring.
Right.
Recruitment.
Culture.
Company culture. Yes. So culture.
Employees higher expectation from nowadays. Employees expectations, not our expectations. Staff expectation.
Managing employees.
Shall I name it as career planning or it's more than that? More. It's more.
Incentive packages. Incentive packages.
Sorry?
Incentive. Designing
Incentive.
effective incentive packages.
Emotional planning.
That's
Emotional planning.
Emotional planning.
Your side planning. Your side
Emotional planning.
So I don't
अत्याचार.
It depends with the
So we first go through some boring stuff. We want we start with organizational structure. How many of you have proper organizational structure? And others don't have it.
TiE.
So HR starts with a proper organization structure. Each company's organization structure can be different, but broadly it starts with a shareholding board. In larger companies, the shareholding board and the managing board may be different. It's different in one company. You have a head of the company, some call it president, some call it CEO, some call it managing director. I I'm the president of one company, the CEO of another, and the MD of another. So it says, while heading a company, top management. So if you have a president, you could have vice presidents who could be divisional heads or locational heads, country heads. Usually I identify it in this way, but it could be different for all of you. So this could be shareholders board, managing board. Some larger companies, one of my companies has an advisory board, that's board. Managing board usually is executive and is operational to some extent. Head is, let's call him the president. Top management layer is vice president. Directors, not as in shareholding directors, but as in executive directors. The middle layer are normally the managers. We have senior managers and assistant managers. The executive is executive or assistant executive or senior exec. I mean, we have some of these structures in our organization. I can share you. And the assistants may be, office boys, or they may be better than that. They may support staff, even they may be, there are some middle layer people who have assistants to manage sales accounts, like all our sales managers and sales assistants. For your business, no matter what the size is, whether you have 20 people or 200 people or 2,000 people and above, you need an organization structure and therefore an organization chart. If you did not make that, no amount of HR planning will succeed. The next thing after you make this, if you can do any real piece of data, okay. While on this page, also we have levels. Level 6 is the highest level, and level 1 is the entry level. Level 6 may be usually the people who are here, and they have a set of privileges, including what kind of hotels they can stay in, whether they can do air travel, blah blah blah. This level probably does train travel and can stay in some budget hotels, so they have restrictions, they have fixed allowances. These guys have fixed allowances. They have signing powers. These guys have spending powers. So all these things come up in policy later. So policy and process comes later. First we need a structure. So organization structure therefore is most important. With your organization structure, you have to build the next thing, which is authority and responsibility. And of course you must have done that, but I'm just going through it again. I have very less creative thoughts about HR. I'm not exactly an HR person, but I have a lot of experience and I identify with all of this that you were saying. So you have to make reporting levels, who reports to whom clearly. You have to create functional teams who are doing functions. Maybe sales is one process and one function. Maybe in my one of the organizations, our function R&D is there. There is a product management group who is the mother group who decides what products to make before the R&D starts working. Behind that, of course, is the manufacturing. But here, and then there is the there's marketing as a complete department, and then there is sales. Then the rest of the things. I mean, there is logistics, there is finance, and I don't want to forget the one I'm talking about, which is HR. So these are functional teams. Each team has a manager at least. If it's not a very important function or it's not a very large function, it may not have this layer. But any function always has someone from this layer. For example, one of the companies has about 28 people, smaller company, and has an HR manager, but not a vice president, because we don't need that. So you have to identify based on your organization whether you need top management people in some function. If you are a 20 people company, chances are your HR is simpler, but you will still need an HR department of at least one person who is able to handle certain processes, policies, recruitments for you. And we will talk about that. Do you want to give me an idea of what is the average size of organizations so that we focus on that? HR is very different for all, but necessary for all sizes. So should we say that we take a sample size of somewhere between 20 to 100 people? Is that a good size to work with? Yeah? Okay. Alright. Cross-functional roles. There are some top people who will have cross-functional roles, and when you assign your responsibility and authority, you must have this. These are not just sentences. These have to be converted into policy documents. If you do not have a proper policy document listing the responsibilities and authorities, then you will have problems you can't predict. Because there will be no clarity with your employee. Today you will tell him something, tomorrow you will tell him something else. Thinking from the employee point of view, he has no clarity. Also, he has no clarity not only of his responsibility, but also you kept all the authority with you. So it won't work. It works only in the kitchen. I tell my wife this, that this is not kitchen management. In the kitchen, one person can be the king or the queen, but not in an organization. You need to distribute authority also. Even in a 20 people company, you need to figure out what authority is down. And you will not spend your time doing that because you are going to plan a lot of things we talked about in the previous session. Those are important and need your time. I think HR and people, because they are central to our businesses and one of the main pain points. I met a lot of entrepreneurs over many years, and I know that the two top pain points of entrepreneurs are people and finance. These two people said, I'm not short of ideas. Nobody said I'm short of ideas. Nor am I short of enthusiasm and customers. I have those, but I have problem growing because people keep leaving, and I have cash flow issues because money doesn't come the way it's expected. A customer doesn't pay the way he wants to pay. These are the pain points, and those pain points can be simplified by setting process. Process in HR is really more important than in the sales and distribution. Here, you must create clear documents which are policies for your roles, functional roles, etc. Because you must figure out what is the relationship between two business groups. For example, we name somewhere that sales, if it brings an order, then logistics and finance have a role to play. Because finance will have to do the credit checks, etc., have an invoice prepared, and logistics will have to deliver that, match it with existing stocks, blah, blah, blah. If these three are not in sync, then the sales can never satisfy his customer. By the same logic, marketing and sales are a pull and a push function. So, if the pull is in a different direction and the push is in a different direction, is it going to work? It won't work. So, there is a lot of cross-functional roles, and cohesion of business activities in a company, which you need to put in black and white, not just think. It should not be only in your mind. It should be in black and white on paper as a policy, and that policy is made available to different levels of people based on what they need to know. Once you recruited a guy, if you did not give him a policy document or with all his roles, etc., and I'm not talking of a job description. A job description, I don't give because it limits what the employee can give. In most cases, the best HR practices cannot really identify a person's potential or lack of it in that half an hour interview. You cannot. There's no science there. But when the person comes in, what you can do is, you can create a culture of always identifying people's positives, plus points, and working around those. That makes the whole company a happy place to work. And I found many companies not able to do that. I found many companies always fighting because the goals are different. The entrepreneur is struggling, wants to grow, has a lot of issues related to the gap between the results and his expectation, and is an emotional wreck. Some of us are. And the employee, on the other hand, is just doing a job. Wants a good place to work, wants good colleagues to work, wants good treatment, wants to get respect for the knowledge or the education he has or he thinks he has. Simple as that. You need to respect that, whether he has it or not. So there is always that tug of war between employee and entrepreneur. And the best thing to do is to separate the two. Put professionals on their place, therefore have an HR, have policies and have processes in place which take care of some of those emotions. And therefore I come up with flexible job descriptions. I don't usually lock people into job descriptions because job descriptions define what you cannot do or will not do, rather than defining what you have to do.
How do you do this flexible job descriptions?
So,
I think the
we broadly define the function. How we do this is that when we recruit a person, of course, if he is recruited for sales, he won't be doing finance. That's clear, right? So, when we recruit a sales, we try and keep his job description as broad as possible. For example, if that salesperson is a sales support person or going to do online sales, which means he's going to be based in office, but tomorrow need to go and visit a large customer who wants to launch an online service and I'm going to give him my platform. And the guy says, my JD says, no free job. What do you do? So you make your JDs in such a way that there is scope to change the focus. Why you need the flexible job description? Because the job changes based on how your strategy changes. Also, you want the same guy to do a little bit different.
So what we do, what we are working on is to identify the objective. Now, objective of, let us say, all people in sales might be same, it is in line with the company objectives. Okay, and they focus in an area at that particular point of time. That's so that no flexibility will be there.
Yeah.
So objective.
But your objectives will change, right? They won't remain the same way
Well, the
forever.
objective is quite broad.
Yes, so broad. So again, when it comes to people, my experience says as for employees, a broader and a more flexible GD is better than a list of things that are his job. Which may give you a feeling that I have given him a role clarity, but role clarity doesn't mean a list of things to do. A list of things to do, I think his functional manager will give him.
It will be like following functions besides others.
Right.
And then,
Okay.
objective is there, very clear.
Yeah, but you
And
can't
then we
deliver.
indicated these are the functions besides others.
You have an HR department?
One person.
Yeah.
Also, I think today one more angle to discuss is that sometimes the new generation comes in, it's a project-based job. So 3 months or 6 months there is a project. So executive project is a team assigned for project execution. Somebody is a team leader and there are team members. So then the project is executed, the whole team is disassembled. Now another team is formed. The person who was a project leader or a boss now reports to the same guy who was.
You do that.
Yeah.
But that must work only in a software company or technology. Yeah, it doesn't work in all models. It works in a technology. So we do what you do also. We follow a process which is called Scrum. I don't know if you've heard of that. We follow the agile method of software development, and within the agile we follow a Scrum model which allows team members to keep changing when projects change. And we don't assign one responsibility to one person. For example, in a typical software team, there will be a project manager or a team leader may be under you if the project is large, and then the actual programmers or the coding guys, and then testers. But in the Scrum model, the tester is also the coder, and the coder is also the tester. So daily they will have a Scrum meeting, and we have some softballs, and we throw the softball in the center of the circle, and the guy who wants to be the first to talk about what he did yesterday and what he's going to do today, he picks up that, and then it goes by the fish. So we don't say, you say that. The guys take this initiative, and it's pretty much self-teams. So it's a good process to adopt. If you have a team even of a size of 20 people, Scrum works for software development, even hardware development.
Would it look for like a rank startup, for example? The rank startup, you want to HR manager, that makes sense, right? You're like a small company, but you're planning to start a company. You initially start out with a team.
So you must still have HR. If you really don't want to have it because you are one person or 10 people or 20 people and you feel it's not really necessary, my suggestion would be still to outsource the HR. There are companies providing HR services, right? And they do a very good job of helping you to create processes. And they are pretty much, they operate in a plug and play model where you can plug in, get the practices, policies, etc., benefit from that, and once you feel that now you have learned whatever you need to learn and you are ready to have your own HR, you can plug them on. But that I think is necessary.
You can outsource that function. Because let's say you're starting a
Yeah, there are a whole lot of, I think,
I know that.
okay, you can talk about. Someone said has a finance HR, right? Accounting HR. Who said that? Somebody was telling me has accounting outsourcing company in account. You said that. So he has an outsourcing company for accounts. If you don't have too many accounting needs from accountant to CFO, this company provides that. Then he has an HR outsourcing. So for startups, now all these kind of services are available, and actually they are very good. They should use them. You should use those. It works. I've tried it. It works.
A very small company that one could wear the HR hat for 2 hours a day. All these functions are important.
It won't work forever. It works for some models wonderfully well. For example, think about it. If I have 200 people in Mumbai, but only 2 people in other 10 cities, because I need to keep some operation, then the outsourcing company can provide very good practices for remote management, etc. You need more processes because who will do the HR there? And in startups also, it's very good. Even if you have one employee, you need HR. That's what he will also say.
What do you do in a scenario, for example, if you've got 2 people and they've got key roles, they're all cross-functional teams, so that's what you want in a startup, but they've got their key roles as well. And one of them goes off the next day. So that can hit your operations or your functioning of the business. So how do you there's no foolproof method here, but how do you sort of limit that? Do you hire an extra person always or?
Sure. structure comes with the roles. So if, I mean, okay, people will not be there, but if something is very indispensable, like you have operations which can't hold for a day or it will affect the productivity, you probably need to figure out maybe that
Right.
assistant.
Right, because if you, let's say you started a company and you hired me as an operations manager, just for argument's sake, and 6 months, 8 months into the business, I mean, everyone's very important, everyone's very critical, right? As opposed to a 2,000 people company where some people can't go under the radar and, whatever. And I decided to just bounce one day. So, I mean, that would threaten the existence of the company in any case, right? Because, so would you hire an extra person with me? So in case I quit the
Okay, see, there are two ways of doing it. One is the documentation part. Like the operational rules, no?
Right.
Probably you can have an expanded operating practice or for the function are there. And secondly, what the big bosses know, if this person is that and this, what he does is he trains another VP or company person who can manage this position.
Okay.
So they just stand by always.
So in larger companies, the top management has a much higher reliability. They can deliver, right? But in very young companies, yes, it does become a problem. Everybody is a key person.
Right.
So it's
If
not
I
like
hire somebody who is another month or two or whatever, then
Yeah. Also in India, if you are small, you are anyways, at a very strong disadvantage because we still as a country do not have the culture to work for small companies. People want to work and learn and then leave. So probably you want to also, it was one of the major pain points much earlier for me that we became like a training house, like training people and then people leave. So I think that's another issue that one has to solve from HR point of view. We'll come to that. You were saying.
So in this middle layer or in the executive layer where this churn happens of people leaving, so there is a philosophy called keeping a backup of everyone. Even the manager who is the top guy in that layer, there's got a backup of somebody who is junior, but then he knows all the responsibilities of the person. So that even if he goes one day, operations will not stop, they will get hampered. But they can be
At least you don't need to backup of the resources. You create backup of the activity of person.
Activities,
shared backup. It's not a backup in one person, it's a shared person.
See, we have a concept called as a SOT, which is separation of duties. See, there are 3 people in my company. All of us will know what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do.
To give you an example of
My bosses started showing that if there are 30 activities under 3 people, 60% should be common. So even if one person leaves, there is an impact. There will always be an impact, but you have to mitigate the impact by doing these things so that it is reduced.
Reliance has a rule, and many companies, but Reliance has a rule. If they call you for a meeting, no one person can attend that meeting. Minimum 2 people always have to be in the meeting. Because at least one more person has to be aware of that discussion and the agenda. So people create practices, businesses create practices which help you to overcome those things. I mean, it's a fact that every industry, people will leave. People are not going to be married to you for life. And they should not, because you need at least some new energy coming in. Otherwise, also it's unhealthy. We'll come to that.
Surveillance will come in
Listen to what I'm discussing.
You can do as required. For example, diamond industry in India is one of the largest users of security products. But there, the value they are about polishing the diamond. So the value that that small little diamond is very high. So they have to have all kinds of security. There's cameras, there is all kinds of recording, there is attendance, there are rules, there are processes set to follow. That there are reference checks done. The industry takes only people who are from that part of the drug. So there's a lot of things followed as practice besides CCTV. It's not only CCTV. And depending on your business, you have to create those processes. And therefore, I don't think there is any one, formula. Compensation and reward. Another very important thing that every one of us knows. But if you do not have everything I am mentioning here is probably known. Please understand, I am saying that each of these has to be a written down, black and white policy. And probably you should be the guy talking, not me, but everything has to be a policy. So you must understand industry benchmarks. You all know this, right? If you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So you better pay your people well. There are industry benchmarks available. Are you paying higher than industry, lower than industry? If you are in an established industry, chances are good your employee is from within the industry. So they will always compare. Employee is not just isolated inside your company. He's working with your company, but he's out there in the real world, in the industry, talking about you, your company, everything. And he's comparing with his friends within the industry, outside the industry.
That's why the maximum valuation happens. You become the friends. When you see my friend in the same class, is getting probably 20% higher. But why am I working over here?
My company's HR department tracks the online activities of each employee. That means if the employee posts his resume on naukri.com, we always come. My employees may not know.
Even we do that as part of our buyer services. We tell our customers, if you want to know how many of our employees on a daily basis have updated or even checked their resumes online, we give it to them directly.
Having said that, I think people need to be incentivized. So again, for sales is one function. No matter what industry, sales brings the revenue to the company. You need to reward that with clear incentive structure. If it is not written down, it changes year on year. But if you haven't written it down, your sales people will probably not do the best job, and that may be the area where your highest attrition lies. Because if you are not rewarding him for his hard work or the results he brings, he's going to leave. Then for the non-sales staff, there have to be good reward parameters. Maybe there's an annual bonus against company's performance. Maybe for after-sales staff, in my company we have after-sales staff where there are some norms that 80% of all the cases registered have to be solved in 3 days. Something like that. So those kind of clear parameters need to be set. There should be sheets which measure those, and they are reviewed and measured on a quarterly basis, monthly basis, etc. And not only the HR does this has to be done with at least the manager's involvement in each function. So the HR manager, therefore, is a very participatory role where they will get into each function and come up with what are the needs for recognition and reward in those. Finally, recognition through awards. I think all of us want money rewards, but there's nothing like somebody patting you on the back, somebody giving you a reward, saying you are the best performer. We have best performance of the month, we have star performance of the year. We have a couple of things which recognize an employee. So employees always like that. We all live in a social world, and we always like if somebody acknowledges and we are able to have a distinct recognition from others. Next important part is setting KRA. Key performance analysis again is, I don't know about your agency, but I found external agencies not so well equipped to build KRA. But depending on your industry, you must be able to create a complete analysis process where you do performance analysis. And I'm just sharing some of what we do in our company. we do self-ratings, peer ratings, your team leader or the departmental head rating, and a senior management rating. And nobody's rating gets full weightage. So it's a weighted average is taken so that you nullify anybody's bias.
What is peer rating? Colleague. What is it technically? What kind of things you are looking at your
Within the team, usually, how if you are in one team, then how he feels about you, because that means how cohesive the team is. And sometimes you may not be the one to blame, but you still don't work well in the team.
Absolutely, but if I want to discourage this person, so I would give a bad rating.
So you should never weighted average. Never weighted average first. So you nullify weighted average, and would you have fear that the other guy will do the same thing?
Probably for that if you allow each other to read.
No, that is okay. But if you have a good person,
rating.
depending on how companies feel, not all of this is relevant to you. You can adopt, you can remove the peer review. There's no science here. I mean, people management is a set of processes which you do, but every company has different functions. So it depends. If you feel that this is too competitive and so it would be harmful, then probably have this out. But if there are functional groups put together, working together, peer evaluation helps, because you normally want, for example, in a product development team, you want the team to be very cohesive. If there's one guy not in sync with the rest of the guy, then you have to worry about it. And you must have clearly written down KRAs, not just which employees know, which are shared with them, so they know what is expected of them. There have to be monthly reviews, or quarterly reviews, or annual reviews, again based on your business model, what is relevant. If you are in a development team doing software, maybe the reviews are every week, I don't know. But maybe in certain cases, only annual reviews may be required. Reviews at the end of the year usually result in the promotion or the annual increases, etc. Whereas the quarterly reviews and the monthly reviews are used more for internal feedback, where the team leader will feedback the employee or the senior management will feedback the team leader if there is anything to be brought up.
Do you do an annual review for everyone at the same time? Would you do an annual review for everybody at the same time? Let's say I started in Jan,
companies
you will review me in Jan, but there's somebody who started in June. Would you also review them in
Depends on you. You can probably put a cutoff date. Anybody who has joined before 30th of September, that person would get 6 months of at least time to perform. So you can define that anybody who has joined from 1st of October, they wouldn't be part of the yearly appraisal cycle.
Sure.
Anybody who is before that, you would treat them everybody same who joined before the year cross.
So in my company, we have 8 months as the minimum parameter. That if he has 8 months of performance, then he's good for evaluation. If he doesn't have that, then he's not evaluated. He's evaluated in the next year.
and even the bonuses we do in the following year?
Yeah.
So you cannot get a bonus for a year and 4 months.
In my company, we give the bonus because bonus is dependent on company performance.
Right.
But he doesn't get an increment or a raise because he's not being evaluated.
So you will get an increment for like a year and 4 months, basically.
In my company, we have
First 6 months. Anyway, you have to perform for first year, then you get increase.
no matter the
All letters of communication.
fixed a variable an incentive and a bonus. This is how in my company it is. And this ratio for the sales people is 70-30, and for non-sales is 80-20. Right? So that is how you probably want to follow.
What is variable and incentive?
Variable is part of his salary, but it is linked to his performance, which we are talking about.
So that
Bonus is linked to company's performance, not to his performance. the company makes profit, then employees get more. This is how we, these kind of practices you have to create, and they should be clear and available to employees.
What incentives? What about incentives? What is that income?
Incentive for me is linked on sales, revenue linked. But again, it could be linked. But most companies have incentive for revenue, and whoever is involved in the revenue process directly is to be incentivized.
And even collections. Collections.
So if your company,
Any incentive is payable after the collection.
so if your company is done well through the year, but the employee hasn't really performed all that great, you will still get a bonus.
No.
Or you just, because
It's a very small ratio. See, the thing is,
For an employee to be considered a company bonus, if I two things. First is arguments care which is understood, and you rate it. And because his rating is going to be high, he will not be very good. Only if it's the top 10% line of the organization of our strength can tell you how exactly can get the company. So while he is eligible, you don't give it. Right?
We would write, sales target. Let's say the target is 1 crore. Then quarterly क्या achieve करेगा? Then यहाँ पे 100% achievement, यहाँ पे 70% below 70% achievement of the target, no incentive. Then the incentive starts. This is how we have some. They change from time to time. I'm just sharing what I know. Maybe I'm not even updated. What is the present?
Current one, all the industries have identified 70% as the minimum benchmark.
Yeah.
Like some startups have no revenue. Like Instagram didn't have revenue, so you wouldn't get revenue.
So, as I said again, for me, it is revenue. For someone else, it may be customers, number of users hooked in, or some number of users, or how many more people subscribe. So it depends on the model. You have to decide what you want to incentivize. For me, it's revenue, not money.
Yeah.
Alright, so
By revenue, you're looking at collections as well as.
sorry.
By revenue, you're looking at collections as well as.
Collection.
Only collections.
Only collection. We don't consider a sales book. So there are three things, right? One is that what we do is order book, sales invoiced. So invoice goes, delivery happens, and then collection. This completes the sales cycle. That is incentive. The 1 crore is this. It can't be this. It can be 4 crore of order book. We don't care. 1 crore of collection. Only then it makes sense. Otherwise, how does it make sense?
उसमें समझ के देना है, ये भी देना है।
सीधा है ना? तो ये सब clarity policy पे आ जाना चाहिए. This is important. If you don't deliver this clearly to the employee always feels doubtful. कितना ये मुझे cheat करके जाएगा? ये मुझे देगा नहीं. Lot of people come for interviews and say, I'm leaving because that guy didn't pay me what he promised me. That means it must have been by mouth, not by document. And these documents should be clearly, you must spend time. Take an agency, you are not small, even if you are 2 people, believe me. For HR, you are not small, even if you are. People is one of the most critical problems you need to solve. If you go to the earlier session, we talked about solution. People is critical for all things. Without people, there's no company. So we need to solve that puzzle with anyway.
One more question. What is the timing of the payout? When ideally what is the thought process? When should this get paid out? Quarterly,
No
monthly,
Every
annually? What's the best practice?
See, what we follow is, this is monthly of course, fixed salary is monthly, that's what he takes home. Variable in our case is annual. Incentive 50% is paid quarterly. The balance 50% is paid annually. We have another interesting formula. The balance 50, if he doesn't take, it becomes 65% if he keeps it with the company, because that ensures that a performing person doesn't leave them. So we actually calculate our cost. Suppose I want to give him 1% totally on sales, then we calculate paying 0.5, 0.5, but I'll pay 0.4, 0.4 maybe, and 0.1 I'll say I'll give you extra if you take it next year.
So one more complication here. So we are talking about revenue is not sales, profit.
No, obviously revenue is sales. Sales. There's nothing to do with profit.
But now supposing one is giving discount as per the policy allowed 10%, 20%, then the profit will be less.
This is what happens. If I was an employer, I would feel cheated.
But senior management is paid on profit.
Yeah, see, ये तो basic है, right? This is basic maths. So revenue is sales. It is sales revenue, right? Sales revenue. Your COG, your margin, result in sales price. ये तो common है, right? Your discount that you give will be here, isn't it? So your gross profit, your margin will reduce. Then after you have sold this, which is your sales revenue, ये आपका revenue हो गया, ठीक है ना? उसके बाद you minus your operations cost. This is cost of goods. COG is cost of goods. COG is cost of operations. You minus your cost of operations. You will arrive at your net profit. Basic तो यही होता है ना?
Companies now are looking for the concept EBITDA more than net profit. EBITDA. EBIT, of course. That is a better indicator to companies.
So earnings before income tax. So your operations cost has nothing to do with your sales. Your sales, what do you want out of your sales? The salesperson must get you maximum sales. He should not worry about this. This is the man you worked out because it's your business.
But then they should not be allowed to give any discount. You should fix the price.
Discount should be yours. For me,
मेरा सब बोल रहे हैं पैसा आएगा वो देने का प्रॉफिट आएगा तो देंगे ना
I tell you mine.
रेवेन्यू
What he wants to understand, if you offer the discount, then your profit margin has been squeezed, then how can you offer for or incentive or sales car incentive?
Sales also goes down.
you are a for a trader or for a sales organization. Profit is what matters. For business people, other business profit is what matters. आपने कुछ sell देंगे क्या करें?
Shall I answer it? You, as a business person, you are fixing up a margin for yourself. Is it 30%, 40%, 20%, whatever? You know that you will be giving say 5% for the discount. Your sales guy will give it, probably. So you have to work out complete business plan according to your margins first, then go into the market.
This is not HR's topic. But HR will help you to convert it into a practice. They can help you to deliver this with clarity. So when you roll out, when the sales department rolls out a scheme, probably HR is the one who will help you. Now, Usually, most companies have this is variable and this is fixed, isn't it? This is fixed. Because you are supporting a particular operations, and so the cost of operation is going to be the same. Therefore, you always build this target. जो 1 crore था, वो एक आदमी का 20 आदमी का 20 crore हो गया, suppose. But your cost of operations is 10 crores, for example. So you already know that 70% of 20 crores, which is good enough to get you sales, and 14 crores you will make profit. And then you will start incentivizing. So वो अलग प्लानिंग करना पड़ता है. उसको डिस्काउंट दिया हो, that is part of the sales strategy. I don't think discount has anything to do with margin. You must figure out the minimum cost or the minimum margin and never make your price or sales price at your minimum margin. For example, अगर आपको 25% GP लेना है आपके cost पे, अगर 25 is too less for my point of view, तो मैं तो 100 होता हूँ, but 25% अगर लेना है, right? तो आपको 35% में costing करना पड़ेगा ना? That is a different subject altogether, and you cannot confuse your sales guy with that. You must deliver your clear incentive scheme and give him his due. If you made a wrong, what you are telling me tells me that you did not do this, which is a different subject. ये तो पहले राइट करना चाहिए.
Actually,
नहीं तो धंधा ही खतरे में. Then how you are doing the business? Because then you are in trouble. Then you have to sit with the customer also with a calculator. How that has to be figured out.
Actually, what you have to do there, after the margin, instead of minus discount, you make it plus discount. That is the sales price.
So do you set up for a sales guy, do you set like a number that you
You only figure it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You need to give them steps. You can't go beyond this and you can't go.
और 1000 रुपए में उसको बेचते हैं.
Any sales
So you get out
figure,
yours.
margin.
850 is my cut-off point. Even though there's no business, you walk away. That's the walking away point. So you start with.
How we do is the different levels have different discount sanctions. Authority to give different sanctions. So if they are in the top management, they are able to give much higher discount. Over here, if there is a sales executive, they can give only 5%. Middle layer can go up to, and here we have more powers here, and here they can go up to 15%. मेरे costing से all out होता है. So I can afford to give 25% discount on the volume based thing. They are having their parameters written down when that discount is to be given. मतलब एक कैमरा के लिए 25% दे दिया तो then he's a bad sales guy, and his sales target is also anyway not good. Right? So one has to figure that out. मतलब वो तो पहले करना ही है, वो अलग चीज है. Right now we are talking of employee incentives, and those have to be given clearly to people, and they work as good motivators. They must be paid.
Bonus, what was your calculation for bonus? I got incentive, but what do you really do for bonus? Annually?
You mean the criteria? Bonus is always annual. Always annual, and always based on company performance. So below a threshold level, the company can't make profit. If you can't make profit, you can't give a bonus. But if you give, if you have profit and you give bonus, employees are always happy. The industry way do in my company, bonuses are given in terms of salaries. So an employee doesn't get 12 salaries; he either gets 13 or 14 salaries. So they get 2 months of extra salary because together we make more money.
What points come to say?
Sorry?
Sorry? What the labor laws?
That's only on the basic salary, not on the
What point is it?
He just commented that actually gets the 13 months or 14 months salary. She said that 1 month anyway देना ही labor law के हिसाब से. I said that no, 1 month लेकिन खाली basic salary के ऊपर, not on the overall salary.
Bonus is
But it is compulsory after 5 years of making of profit.
True, I'm not touching the labor laws because we are supposed to know that. When we start a company, we know all the basic laws. I'm talking more from.
What about increments? Is there any real formula to
increments are based on this. Once you have built a KRA structure and once you have done your annual reviews, then you come up with annual increments and promotions. So either person is having the same job description and then gets only an increment, or he gets a new position, higher responsibility, and gets a promotion. In rare cases also we have given demotions and notice to be out. That's policy. So we have complete criteria how to demote, how to notify. So we have a 3-month period where we give the employee time to measure up to whatever the gaps are, and we do another analysis. And then also if he's out, then with the letter that's a month's notice or a 1 month's paycheck and out. So we have to follow these, and this is also important. Employee exit criteria is important. And even if employee is being dismissed or employee is leaving on his own, we have a very clear process for exit interviews. They should be there. Exit interviews. We do exit interviews always.
What would be the content of the
Exit employee, believe me, as your all employers, so as an employee has only 2 honeymoon periods. 1 when he joins a company, and 2 when he leaves a company. That's the time he will tell you all the things honestly. Therefore, you must get an exit interview to learn about your company, his reporting manager, what was good, what was not good, and chances are good that he will give you an honest feedback. You must never ever allow the employee to leave without an exit interview and a farewell.
And share your
Farewell. I hope all of us give farewells to employees. We must. Come on, you know what? Plate of samosas and coke, we cannot afford that. So we must always do that. Because then the employee feels that he is respected. Not just when he's coming and working for you, but even when he's leaving your organization.
But when people are leaving without giving you notice, etc. We give farewells when they know everything.
We give farewell provided we know that he's leaving.
So in it's tough in some cases, but in my company, the variable prevents the employee from leaving without notice because he has 20% of his money visible.
But that is for sales.
No, for the non-sales it's 20%, and it's high. So if he's earning a 5 lakhs package, 20% of 5 lakhs is 1 lakh. He doesn't want to leave 1 lakh and go.
And the jump is when is that?
In some cases it happens. The other thing is, referrals. What we have done as a HR practice is that we always take referrals from his previous employment. And still it is not a huge culture in India, but now more and more companies ask for references. So which means that chances are good that wherever he's going, they will need a clear, experience letter, etc., etc. We don't give that if the employee just leaves like that.
Can I share an example? We talked about money, why people leave, what are the things, and as you rightly said, the exit policy should be very clear, the incentive policy should be very clear. It may be verbally, 100%, in a small organization, otherwise documented. I was surprised to hear this. One of my employees, he left his previous organization, saying to me, I was just talking, I asked him what happened there. He said he was a Christian person, I am a Hindu. Dashera and Diwali means lot to me. He is supposed to give me a mithai ka packet that he did not give. So, at which he promised me Diwali to kuch dega, he left. Such a silly thing we find, but for him it was very important because they consider it a very auspicious thing. Now, these are worker level, but chief engineer, where I was working earlier, He said, last year during this Diwali time I was absent, I was out. So this time my boss should give me 2 packets of मिठाई. Last year का और अभी year. अगर वो नहीं देगा तो मेरे को सोचना पड़ेगा. Imagine, chief engineer, senior to me, and because for them those things are, ration. They take it as a blessing from the bosses. It's very, very important. We don't understand this. It's very important to actually. And I was surprised the chief engineer talking this. It was very surprising. So we have to be very careful when we are talking about it. Clarity will help. There won't be any.
And these are all what I am saying are policies written down in our policy, which are policy documents. We have a fat policy document created over a period of time, and they continuously keep increasing, the amount of questions. For example, in line with what you said, we have a policy for birthdays. Birthdays. Employees have birthdays, right? So we always remember the employee's birthday. We always purchase a small cake, and always whoever is present, not everybody will be present, but whoever at least their group, we always cut a cake, cut a cake.
At least they'll not take an off on his birthday.
They value very much.
Yeah.
As a human being, they value very much.
I have one more question. We have segregated basic, we have segregated variable, incentive, bonus. If I was to cancel any one of these, what would you cancel? Bonus.
You want to cancel?
Cancel them all.
So, yes, relevant, why shouldn't you see it?
Part of everything. What do you decide?
What is the least important?
The
You can
fixed-
still get your package.
The fixed and the variable is the basic. You must have that. If you are giving him only fixed, chances are good he is without notice.
That's the motivation for performance.
Yeah, you have to give a 20% variable, even if it is extra, because that motivates him to perform his key role. The incentive and the bonus is to your interpretation. Sometimes bonuses, some companies would use it just as a figure but may not intend to give it. So the incentive and the bonus, I think, are optional, and they could depend on your profitability and everything. But the fixed salary and the variable part of your salary is a must.
As an entrepreneur, your objective is that your employee should get everything. If he is getting all the components of his salary, ideally, that means everything is in place. So if, the entrepreneur should not be conservative कि उसको इतना ही फिक्स मिले और उसका इंसेंटिव भी कट हो जाए. The objective should be उसको सब मिले.
Point is, it's an essential expense. If you are running your organization, then certain expenses are essential. Your office cost, your people cost, your money cost.
The reason of the question was sometimes you just have far too many layers. What if you know that your cost of the employee is X? Considering that he has performed to his limit or whatever you want to call it, you might just decide to keep it at a maximum variable and forget the damn bonus altogether. Yeah? Give it to him every quarter. What I was trying to get at is, do you really need every single layer? Can you just, it's not about the money, it's about how many layers do you really want there if every one of them is essential. I don't know, from an HR perspective, I just think, a lot of this is this and that and that and that and that. If you're a small organization, all this time is spent in bickering on each single little layer because at the end of the day, reduce the layer, get the money.
Yeah. So if you are
the third law, for every action there is the equivalent of a reaction. So what you give, you will get back from the employee.
No, I'm not saying don't give the money. I'm saying if I have to give him $100, do I have to break it down as $20 and
But what she's talking
$5 in incentive? So just what is this?
point taken that this depends on the size of the organization.
Yeah.
If you have a larger organization,
Probably.
you need a more sophisticated structure to compensate because the parameters will be also more and it's difficult to measure. But if you are a very small company, the chances are good that we can follow a simple one, which is take this fix and take this when you get something to the company. So you can build something very, depending on where you are in your organization's growth, you can build the right model for you and then build it sophisticated way. There are global companies who use cloud platforms like there's a Salesforce.com as a global platform to incentivize and map sales performance and then incentivize that. So that's valid to the Cisco's of the world. It's not going to be valid to you, right? So based on, all I'm trying to say is that part of your HR, you need to work out your reward structure. You must reward your people. You must set clear parameters to reward your people. There should be regular and clearly laid out performance criteria, whether it's 1 employee or 10 employees. This is important. Then you make your reward structure the way it works for you. Recruitment.
Okay, one question. So to summarize, you say basic salary immediate at the end of the month. The variable is when 20 or 30% paid.
Again, it can be for me it is annual.
Incentive is annual. No, 50-50.
No, fixed is monthly. Fixed is monthly. Incentive is quarterly. Variable is annual. Bonus is annual.
Also annual. Bonus is linked to bottom line.
Bonus is linked to my as in company's performance. Variable is linked to your as in employee's performance. Incentive is directly linked to revenue and brought in based on target. So it's mapped with target.
What do you hold back? You said you hold back certain percentage.
A lot of your output is only annual.
You said you hold back a certain percentage.
That's a retention policy.
Yeah.
We came up with this is payable to you. If one is payable, you retain it with the company, it becomes 1.2. That was a retention strategy.
So if you, let's say, per annum you are paying him 1 lakh, you tell him that you retain 10,000 plus. When you go back, it becomes 10,000.
Right.
Something like that.
And we found employees
Some kind
taking
of a
this.
deposit scheme.
Right.
50,000.
We found especially the younger employees
Okay.
taking this scheme because they would like to keep the money for, let's say, marriage or buying a house or something like that.
Right.
So people would,
That
but
makes
this
sense.
happens once you have a mature policy.
That's a good
You
idea.
cannot probably implement this if you are taking your first step in the HR process. But if you've already implemented some kind of clear practices, you can think of this as companies did various things to retain people because that's one of the key pain points, right? People leaving is one of the key pain points. So recruitment, I think all of us know nothing very creative there. So there are online recruitment sites and there are good personalized service companies giving recruitment. We do a lot of referrals. We never recruit people without proper referrals. And we do campus recruitment. For software also we go to some of the software institutes like ST Technologies and even NIIT and stuff. We get people from there. For hardware engineering people also we go to some engineering colleges. For sales people we go to some B schools. So these are different ways in which you get your people. No matter again how small you are, I suggest you identify the right ones for you because now the important point, because this is a funnel. This is your people funnel. Like you need a sales funnel. I hope you know that. This is a funnel, right? So this is your sales funnel. And we have clear criteria that if the guy's target is 1 crore, he must have 4 crores of funnel, which is inquiries. Because 20% of inquiries will convert to orders, which is here. And if there is a history of 100% converting to revenue, then that's fine. If it's not, if your history is that the conversion is only 50% customers don't pay, then if you want 1 crore to be collected, then it better be 2 crores here. It better be 8 crores here. This you always need to work out. Again, it's very important part of your sales planning that you have to work out sales funnel. But now in the context of what we are saying now, you need people funnel. Are you identifying who are the most likely guys to leave? In my organization, we know that the sales people are people most outside in the market and so are most likely to leave. R&D people, we know if they leave, will leave in groups. So it could be a disaster. And therefore, we have had history of cases where a product line cannot be continued because the R&D guys left in the team. So we do a lot of cross roles now so that the chances of such a thing minimize. And you need to map that. And because you need a good funnel of people, therefore you need to, I mean, while you know this, but you need to create this as a practice. Which are those institutes you will go to every year for picking up people? And there are times when we picked up some junior guys at least at entry level, though we didn't need them because it's our practice. So we picked two guys from that college because that's part of the practice. Every year we'll do that. And then maybe for a year he's a bench sitter. He's not really useful. But it's still a practice. So it won't create a disaster of some other kind.
Sometimes that is said about paying external industry standards. So how do we control this? Is there a way to control this?
Depending on your industry. So
yes, how do we, in every industry do we have that?
Yeah, I guess so. If you are an IT company, there are strong standards. If you are a technology hardware company, there are strong standards. If you are in manufacturing, depending on certain broad industries, I think there are good amount of benchmarks. And these are very easily available. Sorry?
Is it available on the net? Ready information?
Some of those are. Some of those are published reports. And I'm sure if you have a good HR inside or an agency giving you HR, they can find this for you. They also will find out one more thing. Not only will they find out the salary level, but they'll also find out the increment levels for you. They'll tell you how much is the annual increment that the industry gives by and large. And if the whole industry is giving 20% increment per year, and if you end up giving 5%, chances are good that you will have a higher. We'll come to that. That's the last slide. You understand your industry's benchmark for attrition also. Like in software, you have a higher attrition. And an Infosys has 15 to 20% attrition. Even an Infosys. And a Hexaware, which is a smaller company, because of its HR practices, and I'll come to that, has a lower than 15% attrition. Because they did something what we do, they, in a different way, when they take in a new software guy, they ask him to deposit 75,000 rupees. And if he leaves before 2 years, that 75 rupees goes. He gets that back at the end of completion of 2 years of service in Hexaware. Therefore, Hexaware has a lower than industry attrition rate. You must know what is your industry's attrition rate. No matter what your industry, if your attrition rate is higher than 20%, you are already in crisis. This is a general statement. So I am saying that 20% is ज़्यादा attrition है. But if you have, 200 people and 40 are leaving, then you have 40. No matter the industry.
Maybe the other way also, we have zero attrition. And that means we should doubt that they are making good money here. The other way also.
Yeah, there are, you are right, there are some
zero attrition practically possible easily investment.
What I am talking to your sense, I am not talking about labor class. If your marketing team is there, let's say for 15, 20 years they have not moved. That means they are making money and they are happy making. I mean, their company is not, it doesn't belong to, it
In our country, India, what you say is very true. In smaller places,
Yes.
people don't leave. People work for companies much longer.
I have
In
seen
Bombay,
fact.
so are you
It's
doing
20
business
years.
in Bombay or outside?
Bombay and India. I have viewed almost 20 years. I have a problem. I am looking for a problem, but then I say if I'm happy, why should look at that? So that's why this
It's very good. But what industry are you in?
I'm publishing.
Then Bombay.
So what they are doing, I know what they are doing also.
Yeah, earning more than it, that's what he said. Sales guy earning more than it.
So industry-wise it changes. Publishing also has high attrition. So I'm actually surprised how you have zero attrition. Maybe you are, very good employer. So it actually speaks very positive about you.
Maybe I was not very good, but now I'm trying to be very good. Last 4-5 years. Which I'm going to share with you.
Have your HR identified tendencies related to age, qualification, nearness to office, create standard practices for your company based on those? Map the people, how they behave when they are in their 20s. We have, a broad guidelines given to our HR. So many percent of the total number of employees should be within 20 to 30 age group. So many percent should be between 30 to 40, and so many percent should be 40 and more. Because 20-somethings are most likely to jump, right? 30-somethings are most likely to have priorities around creating families, having houses, etc. 40-somethings are always in crisis. So you have to map those things and build those things into your company that, otherwise सब बच्चे भर लिया सब कूद रहे हैं, they will jump on your shoulder, you will drown. It can happen, right? So you can't do that. No matter you are in your 20s or in your 30s, you cannot fill the same age group. It's good to have 4 startup guys from college at the same age group, but then you have to get into creating a real organization, and that means maturity of different brackets. You must think that. That's about it. Training and motivation. I think all of us know that. So this is not a very creative presentation on HR because I am not an HR person. I thought I would just share what little experience I have on HR.
Reading you a lot of things.
Can you talk about ESOP? What do you give an option of ESOP and how does it really help? What percentage?
ESOP as in we have been very selective for ESOP, so only very top level gets that in our company. Because we are not so big like a Microsoft or something that everybody can get some share. But it works in very large companies or very small companies. If you have a startup which needs key employees, which there are some people who are key employees without whom your business would collapse, then ESOP works. I don't do businesses like that because then it's too risky. Yeah. Having said that, in my organizations, there is a top layer and all of them have shares. So they have their stakes in the company. So that much of solidness is there. What we've done as we've grown, sharing personal experience again, is that we've built robustness at the top. The top is solid. And always therefore, in terms of an organization, if we are in the marketplace, each customer acquisition is like a small battle. If you want to win the bigger war, you have to figure out to win the battle. So you must win the battles today and then think of, your soldiers can be a little bit mobile. Your junior guys can go. Attrition can be 20%, but it should probably, you also want to map at which level that attrition is. If that attrition is 20% of top, probably it carries a much higher risk than attrition at lower level. So somehow ensure that you have a solid top. your organization planning also should go top down, not bottom up. You can't start your office with a peon and say, I'm going to do this. You have to figure out what is it that you want to answer your first question in the first session, which problem do you want to solve, and then who are the key people who will deliver, help you to deliver that or make that. Then go down, support staff later. Not up. I have one peon, one secretary, one personal assistant, and this guy should get me open my office, this guy should close my office. Then you have all the lower down, nothing in between. And I found a lot of young companies or smaller organizations having no middle layer, only the bottom and only one top. Then you are a disaster in the making, because then you will have a lot of churning. These monkeys will keep jumping on your head, and you will be in crisis. You will actually philosophize saying that पिछले जन्मों का कर्म नहीं भरा. Don't do that. Once you have a good idea, build it into a solid organization model with a strong top, a good middle layer, and then a mobile bottom layer should not have so much effect. And don't think of this as my companies are bigger. I think this applies even if you have a 10 people company. And therefore these services are important. Because you must create these things. You must therefore have HR. You must therefore build these things. You must figure out that part of the investment. Don't discount it. Okay, so with that I think, thank you very much everybody. I hope it helped you all. If anybody wants to connect with me, please send me an email. I'll be more than happy to give your time. Thank you or address. And for the presentations, they are with Sweta. You can take it. Mail ID? Email ID. So it's Rajesh at evofocus.in.